Hey everybody, welcome back to Our Free TV. It is Wednesday, hump day here, October 1st, 2025. And wow, can you believe it's October? Every day is just a giant saga in the fight for freedom here in America and across the world. We have so much to say. I'll jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution, protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence, hatred, or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. And so I'm so glad to be back with you here on Wednesday. Whew, it's been quite a couple days, and every day is like this. So we're just going to start here by saying thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. I want to let people know that the C60 Evo giveaway, c60evo.com/YAFTV, code YAFTV for 10% off from my great sponsor. But at the beginning of every month, and I'm so glad I'm getting back on the first day of the month here, I get to give away 2 bottles. So it's so exciting, and a random selection from people who support the channel. This month it is Linda and Kristen. Congratulations, so exciting. Emails going out to you to claim your free bottle of C60 Evo capsules, the organic olive oil capsules, just completely the most powerful things in the arsenal over there at C60 Evo. You can go for the liquids if you want as well. And anybody who donates to the channel gets a different code and link with 15% off instead of 10%. So congratulations to Kristen and Linda. And I want to say thank you so much to Joette for the donation. And I will put on the glasses. And I want to mention here that something that's close to Joette's heart, and she is such a ongoing great supporter of the channel. I want to make sure that I mention this. And she's really supporting that people get involved with rescuethefosters.org. Rescue the Fosters. This is a great organization, and it gets, I believe it was begun by this woman, Danielle Holm, whose baby was stolen from her literally while she was in the hospital. And the baby was literally 33 hours old when they took this child away from her, out of the hospital, literally ripped him from her arms, and the baby has disappeared. And this was, I believe, 6 years ago now. It might even be longer, but rescuethefosters.org. If this is your wheelhouse to care about children and want to get involved, go there, and I will link it below. And thank you so much, Joette, for constantly bringing my attention to this. There's a great interview right on that site with Colonel McGregor, who always does a great job in these interviews, and you can just see for yourself. You have to wonder, this baby was just literally stolen right out of the hospital, claiming her identity wasn't who she was. Literally just one of these insane, awful, disgusting things. And we see so much with the foster children, with CPS, that they were stolen and they end up on the streets or disappeared. And, you have to wonder with this particular son, was it a DNA thing? Why did they take him? These things aren't generally random. So check it out below. I wanted to mention that here starting out. And so we're going to go on from there and talk about all the incredible stuff. In case you haven't heard, or you probably have, but I do have to mention this corn dogs recall. 58 million pounds of corn dogs. Okay, this is with sausage, chicken. It could be any number of things. Multiple products out of Jimmy Dean and State Fair brands, and others out of Hillshire brands. You can call if you're concerned, 808-747-7611. Now, this corn dog situation, they're saying there just happens to be in Tyson, right? They're the ones that were trafficking all illegal migrants to come and work in their plants, firing all the Americans working for them, who now have apparently been rehired. But basically, Tyson, right? They're the ones that put the cricket protein in their batter. Was this in the corn dog batter? It's very hard to get the ingredients from online, but the corn dogs recall, they're saying, is because wood chips, just bits of wood, tons of wood chips, in this 58 million pounds. Okay, that's a lot of corn dogs. All right, 58 million pounds. What? What? I mean, that's crazy to even think of. And, there's the other theory here that those 58 million pounds of corn dogs could be going underground to some sort of installations in the underground bunker situation. If they are having to eat corn dogs, well, we feel sorry for them. Don't eat corn dogs, people. Okay, gross. But I'm just saying. All right, so we're going to move on from there. I'll link it below if you want to check out the corn dog recall. It's a bunch of other products too, but Jimmy Dean and State Fair brands. Okay, check it out. Okay, so we're going to go here today with so much stuff we want to say. And as you saw with my thumbnail, Charlie Kirk, medbed, Trump, and everybody's kind of like, what the heck went on with Trump with this medbed? Artificial intelligence, thing that he posted on Truth Social and then removed. And we have to remember that he did this right as, he's meeting with Pfizer CEO Bourla and RFK Jr. and everybody there in, pushing through this most favored nations situation that they did yesterday. And this is all very interesting here as we watch this go down because we get Bourla, who looks very thin. Is it Ozempic or is it stress? He is now, of course, being ratcheted in here to lose a lot of money for Pfizer and to onshore the Pfizer manufacturing of any goods sold in the US to be made in the US, which is massive. And of course, this has to do with their plethora of big pharma drugs, which I hope you don't have to take or choose not to, but that's for entertainment purposes only. What we've got here, of course, is what they call the mod mRNA, the mod RNA. It's not mRNA like it's natural, it's modified RNA, as we know from years, and that they call the software of life, the software of life, right? And so very interesting that he got roped in by Trump and this most favored nation situation, where basically they are making sure that all drugs coming out of these companies will be subjected to the USA paying the same price as any other first world nation or less, and that it will mean that research and development won't fall on the United States, and that will go all over the Western world, basically the wealthier nations. And it's all very interesting here as we watch RFK Jr. having to interact with this man Bourla, literally, in my opinion, obviously, an arch criminal who's bestie with Netanyahu, who gave over his entire population for the jobs and his whole DNA of all the Israelis to Pfizer. And now we've got that person. I mean, it's so disgusting to watch him in the Oval Office that you just can't even stomach it. But there's something larger going on here. And so as I started out saying, the situation of Trump putting up this medbed situation right at the same time, I believe is Trump signaling to us that there's bigger stuff going on here having to do with all of this, to do with the AI technology, to do with what we would say breakaway technology, breakaway civilization stuff, and the ongoing medbed discussion that's been going on for, in my life, close to 2 decades, right? This situation of quantum healing technology, right, that is in this medbed, and it connects up to theories around Jasara and the situation of will there be, this global, massive awakening that's going to happen where they forgive all the debt, and everybody, the monetary system is basically just a kumbaya, and that there is all the release of all the technologies, right? And it's like a happy technocracy. And it not just a happy technocracy, but it's basically the use of all of this AI technology, quantum technology for the good. And so it's very interesting that Trump put this up. He also referenced these med beds way back around the time of COVID. He literally did. And of course, they've been after him ever since. And so it's very interesting as we look at this shutdown of the government. And the government shutdown seems to be constantly focused on healthcare, right? Medicaid, Medicare, and the Medicaid to the illegal immigrants, right? As Ro Khanna and other Democrats admit, is a small part of this. Well, what's the big part of it? The big part of it is it's a $750 million lobby. Okay, the healthcare lobby in this country is $750 million. And as we saw with the murder of the CEO of United Health, right, and all that Luigi Mangione stuff and all the connections, all these families have all these healthcare connections, including Tyler Robinson and everybody. They have all these family connections all the time with these healthcare industries. And so, and we've covered it lots on this channel. And so this lobby is what is fighting with the government right now. And we're in day one of government shutdown. So very interesting to see him take it this far. This is about, of course, Trump has been threatening now, and hopefully will carry it out, going up against big insurance, right? And fighting the middleman insurance situation as well, and everything that is impoverishing families to do with healthcare. And so he mentioned that when they were in the Oval, that this would, be coming up, the situation around insurance and what they're going to do about it. And so it'll be very interesting to see in these days coming forward what Russ Vought and OMB, Office of Management and Budget, they've been, said to prepare with also, of course, Office of Personnel with Dan Scavino. Is very interesting when you look at all the keyboard stuff, and Dan Scavino in charge of Office of Personnel, right? Well, there's said to be some massive, massive cuts that will come as this week progresses, and we'll see what goes down. But they've been said you're supposed to understand that we're going to look at reduction in force situations, and that there's going to be a massive cutting back of not only personnel but also the agencies and how they operate. Are they going to be singular agencies? Will they be combined? Very interesting stuff going down. So we will see what goes down there. But back to this medbed situation and also the Charlie Kirk situation. This video I know can be squirrely. Let's call it the weave, the Trump weave. Play for Trump, man. He looked so tired at that Quantico talk that he gave, where kind of the outstanding point there was him saying basically we have a massive threat from within in this country, and that's what's going down here. Is we're basically going to absolutely get the invasion of this country sorted out right now, and we're seeing it out in Tennessee today, Memphis. Hegseth appearing there with Stephen Miller and the governor, and that they're going full force to eradicate the criminal element, and I'm for it, and I'm not worried about that they're going to therefore federalize police forever in this country. We're in an extreme situation, and we're dealing with extreme things, and I believe the death of Charlie Kirk is involved in all of this, and it's very difficult to kind of grok or understand because it is so completely back and forth all around the gaff, right? And so you've got these great players, like Max Blumenthal, linked a great video with him from yesterday. Candace Owens, all the military bros that do their channels about all, analyzing the guns, and Dr. Martinson and everybody, they're all trying to figure out what went down. And a lot of people believe, well, Charlie Kirk took that trapdoor to Valhalla, right? As Kash Patel said, right? And people have been saying across the board, oh, this is, Valhalla, New Zealand. We've got this witness protection program, and the situation, of course, with Israel, and the peace plan, and the total tide shift, okay, of what's going on here in Israel, okay, and the takedown of Netanyahu, which I do believe will be imminent. And so let's get into this medbed situation here. yeah, there's so much to say. It's hard to get focused, but I will. In the medbed situation, let's go there first. I want to talk about uh, this situation of Jasara, right? Jasara is what so many people believe in. This is where we get universal forgiveness of debt. There's a restart on everything. Basically, everything's kind of free with our UBIs. We get all the release of the technologies, whether it is the med beds or the other. It's kind of like they're calling everything now out of Turning Point USA. This is the turning point, and it's like, well, is this the 0 point, right? Is this the 0 point? Why is Trump putting out these medbed information and its connections here? And so let's get into some stuff around what we get with medbeds. Okay, so the claim around medbeds is that is that that they have quantum technology healing and that it's existed already for a couple decades, and that there is multiple aspects of what this can do. One, that they're saying that it has DNA restoration and activation capabilities, and so therefore can, correct diseases to do with cancer and other degenerative diseases, everything to do with DNA related or genetic diseases, but also the restoration of our DNA and possibly, a grand awakening of humanity, which would be fantastic. And we're going through this stuff with Three Eye Atlas, and 2 days from now, passing by Mars, and this astrological situation that is a massive kind of awakening uh, astrological situation. And, all of that's put there by God in these stars, and what happens in the influence, how God does what God does, right, for this planet and at this time. And so when we look at other aspects of quantum technology healing, such as in a medbed that Trump posted on Truth Social and then took down as he's inviting in, Pfizer, but not just inviting in Pfizer, it's almost like tiger by the tail. It's almost like, a cage around Pfizer, right? You're going to lose a lot of money. We're going to take a ton of R&D money away. You're going to operate what goes on in the USA here in the USA. So it's an interesting and curious look because, of course, RFK Jr. was just holding it together during this whole announcement with most favored nations. And so the second part about quantum technology healing is this neurological healing that, that it can heal brain diseases. And that's why I mentioned 0 point, because you get to this situation of being able to, uh, uh, it gets out of time and space. So the linearity of time is gone, and the containment of space is gone. And there's a healing here that happens, and it's not just AI or something like this. When we think of quantum, artificial super intelligence that's going to just take over everything with the machines and Skynet. This is about quantum healing and about technology of using quantum energy science. Okay, and it involves, of course, the use of artificial technology, but it is about quantum science that isn't just about this thing about artificial general intelligence. Okay, these are kind of two different things that are combined, and it gets into 0 point technology. And so neurological healing for things like paralysis, degenerative diseases, dementia, traumatic brain injuries, Alzheimer's, autism, all of these kinds of things, right? Quantum emotional healing to do with PTSD and trauma, sort of a resetting of your God-given makeup, and immune system healing and optimization, autoimmune diseases being healed, all of this. And of course, longevity comes in there huge, and big money in that longevity field. So these are the kind of things when Trump flips up medbed and then takes it down, that people start to wonder so much about and wonder what's going on there. It's a cellular resonance therapy. And, as I always talk about C60 EVA, how it gets deep in your mitochondria, cleans out your cells, which is fantastic. This is, where your cells are basically restored, okay, through energetic healing. And it's a whole different animal, and it's really the science of the future, the healing of the future, and it is what we should be focused on. And of course, they're trying to figure out how to make a ton of money on it, and they don't really want people to heal, of course, in the economy of death, the economy of sin, the economy of necrophilia, the sinful economy that we operate under. And this is my question in this video. Part of it is, I think there is the grander battle is between the economy of sin and the takedown of humanity as a slave prison planet through a surveillance, space fence lockdown, total, system of control versus the technology, but I would say science and because technology just always has, now it's just technology, right? But science and understanding of energetics and physics and how humanity could break out to be truly free of this technocratic control. Okay, and I believe there is this fight going on that we are witnessing, dealing with. Sometimes it goes behind the scenes because we're like, there's so much happening that we're the future shock of flooding every day. There's so much awful happening that we need to look at, well, these broader pictures and how Trump has been super interested forever, right, in his quest to be part of healing. And we saw his pediatric cancer executive order that he also did recently, and that was also very, very interesting. And what we might expect, right? What we might expect. There's a lot. I believe that we're being sort of told that there's way more to come, and that we stick with it, right? And so, as I said before, the other things, if your thing is Jasara, this was all about, getting rid of there being debt forgiveness, universal basic income, this kind of thing, with Jasara, using quantum technology as well. That's more gets into the tech end of it. What they think could be a good tech, and me, I don't want. I don't want any digital ID. I don't want a QR code. We got people massively fighting back in the UK, huge, many thousands marching in a rally in London against the digital ID. Huge fight back there. Really great stuff going on in the UK, as of course Starmer continues to plummet in the Labour Party's in the tanker. And so I want to kind of shift from there, as I was mentioning, this thing about Charlie Kirk and why I chose that thumbnail is just, the representation of the freedom from the economy of sin, the Radonites, Royals, reptilians, whatever you want to call them, the people intent on slavery as the model for the economy of the planet, of creating a massive elite versus a massive slave system. And this situation of is Charlie Kirk pass away or not, right? And I believe there is a fight here, because the only thing that kind of makes sense after everything in all these almost 3 weeks now, or actually 3 weeks today, of Charlie's assassination, is that we get kind of this faction of Candace Owens doing great work every day, digging hard to show. It looks like she's starting to uncover what is the and George Webb as well. What's the background here? What are we dealing with this kind of Mormon strange connection with the CIA, with the of UVU? They had that huge Turning Point USA rally last night back at UVU. Mike Lee there, Governor Cox there again. There, 6,000 people, largest TPUSA ever, event for students. and and they're just going on, and so if Charlie's alive somewhere in Valhalla, you're right, trapdoor to Valhalla, you know, everybody's being massively gaslit, and yet we're in this huge war for humanity, and and so what's going down? So what I was saying before about Candace Owens and George Webb and others, who are pointing out all the massive anomalies that don't add up to do with the shooting, is I believe, everyone's great work is that was that supposed to be the place where he was going to be assassinated by Mossad, MI6, CIA, with the Ukrainian Azov battalion mercenaries, you know, and all of this that we keep hearing? And then was that subverted by his own team, the security team that looks so squirrely? And did he get out? Okay. So I want to just reinforce some things here, because when we look at this, I think it's important to kind of understand that you can't deny anything about what has gone on with Charlie's separation from Israel, right? And I think Max Blumenthal, I've linked below that great video with Dialogue Works on YouTube, fantastic, from yesterday, where Blumenthal, he's out of the Gray Zone, thegrayzone.com, doing the great reporting, and he's kind of backing up Candace Owens here, that it was very clear that they can't hide this Israel disconnect that Charlie Kirk had done. And Charlie Kirk was living, you know, a wealthy life, and he was given a lot of money, and that's what was going on, right? And he wanted to introduce this Doge concept, etc., which I covered before. And we've got the influencer summit at Bill Ackman's in Long Island, all of it. You know so much of everything I'm saying, right? Robert Shillman, massive anti-Muslim, um, uh, huge money behind him trying to push the anti-Muslim stuff. And you know, I'm absolutely 100% anti-Sharia, anti-Islamist. We've got now Chip Roy is going to run for AG of Texas, which is interesting. I think Dallas just passed something that there will only be paper ballots hand counted in Dallas County, which is massive for Texas, right? But you don't have the governor there, um, you know, calling up the National Guard when there's massive amounts of Tren de Aragua all throughout Texas and all the major cities, whether it's Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, like massive Tren de Aragua there, right? But Abbott's not calling, saying, yeah, National Guard should come here. But Chip Roy coming out and saying so clearly, we're going to go anti-Sharia, anti-Muslim only compounds, building these huge neighborhoods. He as AG is going to take up Paxton's stand when Paxton wins the Senate seat away from Cornyn. And so we'll see what happens there. And of course, it's time for the midterms. It's time to get busy. This is when they're really starting to break out all the work towards the midterms. So precinctstrategy.com, you want to go there and get involved. Seriously, that's a great just way to start and find your place in what you can do in your county, in your state, to really get active here towards the midterms. And I will just mention here, I know I'm skipping around. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I hope it kind of works well in your mind how I do things. But in Massachusetts, they're having a rally coming up on the 14th, and Massachusetts is such a stronghold, but there's a massive America First Patriot movement there trying to fight this you know, complete takeover of Massachusetts, where of course the revolution was started and ended, right? The winning of 1776, and that there is even America in Massachusetts. And so on October 14th at 5:30 p.m., this is about midterm action and what's going on in Dedham, Massachusetts. And I looked that up, and I believe that's just outside Boston, like right there, suburb just outside Boston, Dedham. The Dedham American Legion, okay, at 155 Eastern Avenue. 155 Eastern Avenue, Dedham, Massachusetts, Tuesday, October 14th at 5:30 p.m. And the new RNC chair, Joe Gruters, will be there. You're going to have your sheriff, Tom Hodgins, there, and he's in charge. He's the director or the chair of this group called Trump for Massachusetts. And I will link below how you can find out more about that. And so I wanted to just put that out there, all while I'm talking here about Max Blumenthal and his great reporting, because he broke down in the video below that you can watch the full thing. I'll just give you a few synopses here. He broke down really clearly how Charlie Kirk was being subjected to these constant Zoom calls to do with the Netanyahu contingent about what he was saying or not saying about Israel, that it was getting so much out of hand that he went forward with this, we're going to do Doge, we're going to clean up what's going on with the money. And it went to the point where they're trying to push that he be on a WhatsApp constant reminder, like constantly in available, okay, like in real time, and no matter what he's doing here, that Charlie would have to respond to this huge team of Netanyahu, massive moneyed billionaires, Bill Ackman, Robert Shillman, these guys, and a whole contingent that were supposed to try to handle him. And he was done with it. He absolutely was. And so were they planning this assassination? And somehow it was interrupted, and he got squirreled out Valhalla style, trapdoor Valhalla. Everybody keeping digging is really, really important. Blumenthal is pointing out that they've set up this company, this bank, at this bank in Germany, a corporation that's like a shell company for Israel, where they're paying the influencers who are going to go after the woke right, the USA Patriot, America First podcasters and people online, to wrangle in, do their TikTok censoring, their X censoring, and that what Blumenthal was able to find out is that some of these influencers, like we saw in the video with Netanyahu, saying that they've got drones, but they've got control of TikTok, that they are getting paid, these influencers, as much as $7,000 per post that they put up online to do with promoting Israel and whatever Israel, meaning Netanyahu's government, tells them to say about what's going on. And of course, we have the 20-point peace plan, the Build Back Babylon Better. Maybe it'll be Gazara, right? Instead of Jazara, maybe they'll do Gazara, right? And it'll be a wonderful, truly a beautiful place. But when you look deeply into the peace plan, you look at things like rights, property rights of the Gazans. You're hard pressed to find anything because it's all been completely destroyed. And of course, Hamas has not agreed. And Netanyahu put out a video very shortly after the peace plan that the Board of Peace that President Trump will be the chairman of after he leaves office. Sounds very lucrative. But anywho's what's, we get this situation where these people are getting massively paid per post, making giant amounts of money, right? So we've got the Iranian president also coming out and saying, Pesekian, he basically put in by Israel, which is interesting, but it's kind of standing ground, saying there will only be sanctions, only if we get sanctions relief will Iran, negotiate about uranium enrichment levels, as recently as this last week with the United Nations General Assembly. And so it's all very interesting here with this Dubai 2.0 Gaza project, and the turn of events. It's all timely. Okay, the Charlie Kirk murder, the denial against Israel of Turning Point USA. After the peace plan thing was announced, that same night I watched late night Fox News, and there's some guy named, is his name Chase or something? Anyway, he's, I think, out of California. He does like the late night show. And in that same rabbi from the Chabad Lubavitch rabbi was on there again saying, I hope that Gaza says no. I hope that the Hamas says no. Literally just saying this, just like, he got up at the time when Charlie Kirk was killed and said, we're all TPUSA now. We are the ones. We are Turning Point. Well, the turning point seems to be turning against the Netanyahu government and the Adelsons and the massive moneyed, bullied interests, okay, as, AIPAC is failing. And so very interesting to see that same night, that same rabbi back on Fox News saying, I hope that Hamas says no so that we can go in, Israel can go in and finish the job in Gaza. Okay, so it kind of tells you everything you need to know, right? And so as we're looking at all of this and we're looking at the massive takeover in the UK of the digital ID, the fight back on that, the takeover of TikTok, and the takeover, the attempt to go real hard on X. We also look at InfoWars. They're being massively attacked by the law firm of Doug Emhoff. Okay, and this is a Pilgrim Society run law firm. Massive control here of Kamala Harris for one, but also now going real hard in their attack against InfoWars. Won't allow the buying of the assets by regular means after they tried to pass it off to the Onion and this totally warped thing. But now we're going full bore, where again you have to wonder about Todd Blanche, because we know that Ed Martin and the weaponization of government has been, task force has been investigating this whole InfoWars sort of model that they've been using as their harassment of everybody. And yeah, we have to wonder, because now this, Emhoff's law firm that is literally run by the head of the Pilgrim Society. I've covered this in multiple videos way back months and months ago. Okay, and literally the director of the Pilgrim Society is running Emhoff's law firm. And so they are, we have the federal judge failed to do anything, reverting back to the state judge there in Texas. And they are basically not allowing sales of the asset of there being, the massive company of InfoWars, instead trying to liquidate what exists physically, which is the equipment that's now outdated, and to make it so that Alex Jones can't use his name anymore, can't use the name InfoWars anymore, can't have a company based on doing news. Okay, and so this is the big deal. And when we get back to people like Todd Blanche, and I was telling you before about about Todd Blanche's interference with trying to get Tina Peters free. Well, we also get Todd Blanche rolled up in a bunch of other things. We have, what is his name? The great Peter Tickton also had worked for Trump. Peter Tickton, lawyer, is saying that Todd Blanche is blockading Trump's administration across the board. He's the Lisa Monaco of the Bondi AG system. And he is he was a registered Democrat. He, completely, why he's there, I don't know. Just because he, defended Trump in this Stormy Daniels thing, but he never won anything. He never won anything with Trump. But he got talked into it. Trump and his liking people who are charming, although Todd Blanche does not strike me as charming in any way. But anyway, he's stopping multiple more things, and this having to do with the election steal investigations, everything to do with stopping the machines. So amazing that Dallas got it through, especially because of the state Congress there is just so corrupt. But election steal stuff, he's totally fighting that. He's fighting that all of these investigations that people have been working for so long to come up to expose the 2020 election steal. We had Giuliani and I believe Sidney Powell just reached some sort of agreement. That is, of course, hush hush under wraps from an NDA with both of them, with DOM, he's fighting compensation for J6 victims, and having lunch with Caitlin Collins out of CNN. Just all these very, very bizarre type stuff. And of course, he's the one that interviewed Maxwell and got her to Trump wasn't on those files, and the total fluff, no hard questions to Ghislaine Maxwell, who got a comfier place to stay. And also just to intersect here, that rabbi's name, who for entertainment purposes only, so bizarre. I hope Hamas refuses the deal so Israel can go finish it off on Fox News. His name is Rabbi Chaim Mentz. And he's from Bel Air, California. He's the fresh rabbi of Bel Air, I guess. But anywho's what. So, then we also have the other guy who's being put into prison. This is also an important thing. Who was a Metropolitan Police officer during J6, who, just like Tina Peters, should be protected as a witness, is getting sent into prison without protection, and they're trying to stop this. I think he went into prison today, Shane Lamond, out of Metropolitan DC Police. He was posing as a Proud Boy during this whole thing, and had turned into a whistleblower, and they're stuffing him into prison, right? Because just like the 275 FBI agents, so many of them coming forward saying we were coerced into this, who were at the Capitol doing what they did, the breaking of the windows, all of it, complaining that they were coerced into all of this, etc. So you got Todd Blanche in concert with Mayor Bowser there, with Shane Lamond, and Trump. This call for Trump to pardon him being hugely blocked again in the DOJ. These pardons are so important. And of course, he can't pardon Tina Peters, which is why they're trying to get her protected as a witness and taken out of jail, out of prison, where she's being constantly harassed. And so we pray for Tina Peters, and we want this to happen. So pressure whoever you can, 202-225-3121, no one's there, right? That's our Congress. And don't worry, because Senate, Congress, they're all on a holiday now for the Jewish holidays, I think Yom Kippur or something. And so they're it's not only is the government shut down, but they're gone. So yeah. Anywho's, so I wanted to as they're going into Memphis, we had the 300 officers, ATF, ICE, everybody in Chicago with the arresting of 30 Trende Araguas, now in Memphis, and Hegseth saying, we're here to make it safe, and they had a behind closed doors situation with the briefing on that. We did have Stephen Miller coming out, as he always does, basically saying there will be no square inch of Memphis where a U.S. citizen does not feel safe when we finish this. And by the way, then Pam Bondi comes out and says, and we got you Chick-fil-A. We're getting you Chick-fil-A, everybody. Go eat your Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A is like one of, for entertainment purposes, only the most additives of gross things in the fast food marketplace. So much fake stuff, poisonous stuff for entertainment purposes only in there in Chick-fil-A. Stay away from those sauces, but in general, Chick-fil-A. So they're going to be all loaded up on on these excitotoxins. So that's not so good, but all right. Okay, and so let's see. I think, I did want to cover a little bit of what Candace Owens uncovered today, to do with this guy, George Zinn, who, was the one who got arrested originally at the Charlie Kirk shooting. Shoot me, drops his pants. He's been at every false flag that's happened. Bizarre. Well, Phil Lyman, the guy who ran against ran against Governor Cox, and also his family is huge in Mormons and in Utah, and his land there. His family actually sold the land to UVU for there to be Utah Valley University, owned by the Lymans. Well, it turns out this George Zinn character, and Candace Owens did the Wayback Machine to see when this was put up. He endorsed Phil Lyman, okay, who Phil Lyman inserted himself on everything really early on. That night and the morning after, he's been everywhere. His family's land is everywhere, all around all of this. But George Zinn, that bizarre character, endorsed Phil Lyman on his campaign website, okay, and the Wayback Machine, it has it pegged as June 6th, 2024. That's like 6624, like kind of a 666. So that is really interesting. That's what the Wayback Machine said. And Owens pointing this out, and that everybody was new who was involved here. You had Zanger, the surgeon at the hospital, and being brand new, brought in May. The judge, Tony F. Graff, was only appointed in May by Governor Cox. The coroner is brand new as well. Lots of really new things going on, and a lot of things that keep pointing on this other side to do with Uncle Mikey of Robinson and the connections to the Azov Battalion, Ukraine mercenaries. This whole talk about the Eighth Front that Netanyahu says, well, it's the eighth column here of this mercenary army that they've been training and now is massively being exported into the USA to carry all of these things out. You have the great Peggy Hall with her Healthy American website. Check it out. Her channel on Rumble and YouTube, where she's been covering a lot of this, and she's been uncovering like the whole situation, of the CIA so much in Orem, Utah, and then also the CIA connected with the Mormons, and then the CIA again with this LDS church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, where it is kind of a S-hook type town of all shady, for entertainment purposes only, massive CIA training site there in Grand Blanc, Michigan. And these connections here with that shooter and all of these ex-military guys that just show up to shoot people. And so all these FFs, the creation of this scenario is ongoing, and I don't think it's going to let up anytime soon. In fact, I think it's going to be a very intense few months. So your prayers are paramount. Your full armor of God is paramount, and you're getting with your family and friends and neighbors and community for fellowship is so important here. And so I think I'm going to leave it on this. Speaking of imposters, we get Pope Leo, Prevost, right, doing his job as the American face of the Vatican to try to get all the money back, right, for all of those Catholic bishops, especially in the USA, who are losing all of their USAID money. All of that trafficking of children money is going away. And so they need an American pope. And what did we have here is we have Pope Leo doing his at the Raising Hope for Climate Justice, okay? Raising Hope for Climate Justice Summit at the Vatican, right? Blessing a block of melting ice, okay? Blessing, in Jesus' name, okay? It's just totally disgusting. Blessing a block of melting ice at the Vatican, his kind of climate change homily baloney. And, it's just so disgusting. This at the same time, well, there's this controversy of Dick Durbin, Mr. Jesuit Light. You get Pope Leo coming out and saying about Durbin, who's supposed to get some big award, right, out of the Catholic Church for his 40 years getting tons of money to the Catholic bishops, right, to the Catholic Bishop Governors Council there in DC, and all of the money through the Jesuits, just flooding in to create the migration invasion. And you have Pope Leo coming out and saying, hey, Dick Durbin, just kind of avoiding the question directly about, why is Dick Durbin getting this award? He's completely pro-abortion. He has 100% rating from Planned Parenthood for total, murder and stealing of baby parts. And Pope Leo has to say, well, you have to compare these things. Like, there's also a situation of, the death penalty is anti-Christian. If you believe in the death penalty, there's that to weigh. And if you are anti-migrant, anti any human being anywhere they want to be on planet Earth, that is anti-Christian and just making up crap. Okay, because neither of those things have anything to do with Catholic doctrine whatsoever. But there we go. So this is what's going on. Here we go. It's what's up. And so there's a lot more I could say tonight, but I like to stop around 50. I start to get a little wind down. And so I'm going to leave it there. But I'm going to be back tomorrow, and we'll be back talking more about so much. And I almost just feel like I could go on and on. But this time I'm not going to, even though I want to. Oh, I'm going to say one more thing. One more thing. This is in Wagoner High School in Kentucky. Wagoner High School in Kentucky. I love this, so I'll just stop on a high note. In Kentucky at Wagoner High School, they banned cell phones completely from the school. So nothing, not lunch breaks, not between periods, where you can just sit there and text away. They banned them completely, and it's only been a few weeks. But in that few weeks, they've had a 300% increase in library books checked out. Okay, 300% increase. They have massive, all the kids are talking in the halls between periods. All the kids during lunch, they're outside playing cornhole or touch football. They're talking to each other, they're hanging out, and they're not all attached to digital matrix devices, destroying their minds and capturing them in the digital zone. So I think that's a fantastic note to leave it on. And let's have more and more of that. Okay. Get on your city council, get on your town council, on your school boards. On those school boards, let's ban the cell phones from the kids while they're at school. I love it. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll stop there. And I want to say thank you so much for watching. I think the overall situation is we're looking at, such a grand fight. And, I've been so enraged about the Charlie Kirk stuff because I don't, for one thing, him being murdered, but second thing, being totally, totally gaslit. So obviously there is a scenario that is untold. And right now I'm in the trapdoor to Valhalla situation. And because it's the only thing that, as you aggregate everything together, that makes sense. Okay, the thwarting of the assassination machine of the Mossad, CIA, MI6 cabal, mercenary armies. Okay, mercenaries. Okay, and the fight's on. And I brought up the medbed thing and Trump's whole situation here of trying to wrangle us forward, okay, towards a free future. That the technology is unavoidable, but it's who controls it and what technology is actually focused on, released, and for personal empowerment versus personal enslavement versus tyrannical enslavement. And so that's kind of where I'm going with all of it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found something that was added value or gave you more food for thought, please support the channel. There's ways to do so below, and it is so, so appreciated to keep going here and do more videos. I so appreciate you. And of course, I appreciate my sponsor, C60evo.com. C60evo.com, okay, it's not a med bed, but it gets in to do some serious cellular cleanup, which does help your DNA, does help your mitochondria, gets into your mitochondria and into your neurons and cleans the garbage out and works with your hormones, with your melatonin, glutathione, to get that crap out of your body that's coming at us from all different directions. C60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. And if you donate to the channel, you get 15% off. Different link, different code. sent to you immediately. And congratulations, Kristen and Linda. And I will see you tomorrow. You are free. And so pray, pray, pray that there could be a very grand outcome, okay, of this incredible commitment we all have to America first, but humanity first, ending the economy of sin, ending the Radonite reign on planet Earth. You are free. I'll see you tomorrow.